Do we know how many participants have signed up for this? No?
No, we don't. We just had, yeah, we just have a Zoom link. So, so we weren't able to capture the people actually registering for it because it was just, we wanted to kick it out pretty quickly. Yeah. So we're not exactly sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, Lena. So as if you guys are new to the call, just jumping on, we're just going to wait a couple minutes just to give people a few more minutes to get on the call. I know Eileen's having to provide access to each individual who's coming on. So we are recording this call as well. So we'll be sharing it with our members so they can provide, or they can have that continued access to the information if they're not able to get on at this point in time.
This is Ed Camacho from GITA. Can anybody hear me?
Yes. Hi, Ed. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. I wasn't sure because I can't get my speaker working on my computer, so I'm doing it on my phone.
Oh, okay. How is it working on your phone for you?
I just wasn't sure. I can hear you clear.
You can hear us?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah, we can hear you very well too. So.
Okay.
Great. All right, we're getting some more people on the call, so I'm going to go ahead and just do an introduction. And just as a quick overview right now, just for housekeeping, please, we have muted your microphones as you're entering the call. We will be calling on questions later. Of course, we're going to unmute our panelists today. And we're going to go ahead and, yes, please do keep your microphone muted until we open up for questions. Or if you're one of the panelists until you're speaking today. That will help with any feedback on this noise in the background. Also, if you're asking questions, if you have questions while the panelists are speaking today, you can put them in the chat box. So all you have to do is go to the bottom of your screen and hit chat. You'll have a chat screen that opens up to the sidebar, and you can put in a question. Just please, if you're directing it at somebody specifically, please put their name or their industry. For instance, if you are specifically asking something for a small business development center, you could put in any of our panelists' name there or just SBDC. And then put your attention SBDC and then put your question. That way it'll just be a little bit easier when we have at the end when we have our questions open, as we do have a lot of panelists on the call today. So I do appreciate all of our panelists coming on. And before I give a quick overview of what we're going to do today, I also just want to announce my name is Holly Rustick. I'm the president of Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce. And we are opening up this to members and non-members for our community at large. But I just wanted to give just kind of an introduction to our members as well, some of the initiatives that we're putting forth in the community as the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce. And one of those things is we have done a COVID-19 survey to our members, and we're basing a lot of our initiatives on the response that we received from our members, where 96% of businesses or nonprofits, they have been negatively impacted by COVID-19, and 96% of you wanted grants or funding for your small business or nonprofit or freelance company, and that's the reason we are initially starting with our topical virtual town halls, this one today, with funding at the forefront. So we know that's what you really want. We know that's what you need. So we're starting there. There are other needs that you said you wanted, resources to productively work at home and other types of resources. So one of our initiatives is rolling out these topical virtual town halls, and we will be doing that more. So the topic today is obviously funding, but we will be giving other topics of conversation that you guys find you need and desire at this point in time. So please pay attention for that, as we will be rolling out these announcements so you can have access to these virtual town halls. Another initiative that we're rolling out right now is the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce funded industry expert support. So if you need an expert, maybe if you need help to walk you through the process of applying for PPP questions, you need that sort of support, we are funding 3 hours to an industry expert for our Guam Women Chamber members to get that specific support. So please do reach out to us if you do need that one-on-one support, and we will connect you with an industry expert for up to 3 hours of their time at no cost to you. That is included in your membership. Another thing, of course, that we're doing with Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce are PPE donations. So we have allocated $5,000 in funding. Some of that portion will go to N95s. We actually purchased the mask already, and that will be going out to our healthcare first responders. But also a portion of those are towards cloth masks, because you all said that you also need just cloth masks to do your shopping or whatever you need. Like, we all need these in low supply right now, so we are able to curate some of those. So those will be rolling out soon, and we will keep you updated on that. Of course, we do have an online COVID-19 resource page on our website, so please do check that out. As we do put all of our resources, even the virtual town halls, we're putting all our information on that web page. So that's great information for you. And of course, we do have continued health insurance for sole props and other providers, our members, and that we have open enrollment right now with Take Care Insurance. We were able to negotiate a 5% reduction of cost for you for 2020. So that's what we've been able to do for our members. So I just wanted to give our members especially an overview on the different things that we are rolling out as everything's moving so quickly, but we are staying on top of what your needs are and responding to that. So let me go ahead and get into our discussion today, because this is one of the needs that you all have, and this is great information. So first off, I just want to thank our panelists so much for coming on the call today and sharing your information. So each panelist will have about 5 to 7 minutes, except for SBA will have a little bit longer, since they're overseeing a little bit broader funding resources at this point in time. And once again, please do put your questions in the chat group if you have questions, and you can direct it at whoever industry you have. Like, maybe you have a question specifically for Angel, so you can put Angel and then put your question there, and we'll get to those questions at the end of the call. All right, so first off, to kick off, we do have Guam Small Business Development Center. We have U.S. Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, U.S. Small Business Administration, Guam Economic Development Authority, Guam Department of Labor, and the Employers Council on the call today. So we're going to go through all of our wonderful panelists today to talk about these great funding resources available for small business, freelancers, nonprofits today. All right, so we're going to go ahead and kick it off with our Guam Small Business Development Center. And we have Angel Camacho Paulino, and is Fred also on the call today? Fred Granillo?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so Fred, did you want to go ahead and start?
Sure. Were you going to put up the slides?
Yep, I'll have Eileen. She's working in the background there, so she can pull it up.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Shall we start in?
Yep, go for it. She has the screen open right now with your PowerPoint.
Okay. And I just direct her to say next?
Perfect. That's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're just going to briefly go over what the relief options are through the CARES Act that came through the Small Business Administration. So my name is Fred Granillo. I'm the Network Director of the Small Business Development Center. We are a free resource out there. We are the technical arm of the SBA. So we're here to help small businesses. We are completely free, and we're here to provide one-on-one confidential business counseling. But in these times, obviously, we're here to help people, stay in the business, try to stay, active, and try to be in survival mode at this time, because it's such a difficult time, and try to keep their staffing employed as much as possible. So we're here for you. So we have the experience and knowledge to help small businesses try to do whatever they can to survive. So that's our main thing. And right now, our business advisors are Jane Racy is our senior business advisor. And also, as you mentioned, Angel Camacho Polino is our women in business rep business advisor. And we also do provide trainings. And right now we are going more to a remote format of providing our trainings. And we're trying to restart that up come May. So we're still in mode because we're still trying to do the social distancing. Next, please. Next slide, please. So right now, our main thing we're helping, oh, you may want to back up one. We're trying to help businesses is try to understand the details of the two main products that have come out for loan purposes that small businesses can tap into. The first one is the economic injury disaster loan. It provides immediate economic relief to small businesses affected. So the main thing here is to try to let them understand that, you know, it's a flexible program. Let me move this on. And then, so right now you can apply all the way up to December 31, 2020. The flexible terms, 7, 15, or 30 years. You can get up to the maximum loan amount is $2 million, and there is no fees to apply. Keep in mind that when you apply through this streamlined process that's available now, the SBA is the one that determines this the loan amount and the term. So you're just going to put in some basic information, and then on income, cost of goods, owners are they're going to determine what they can give you based probably off your credit score and the little bit of information that you put in. So it's pretty minimal information. And then who's eligible? Pretty much any small business here on Guam. We're primarily all small businesses here. But in the event that you are 500 employees or more, then there are certain industry cutoffs that may determine whether you can tap into these small business items. So, but pretty much everyone is also, nonprofits are also available, and veteran organizations can also apply. Next slide, please. So you can use the money for working capital, which is essentially short-term operating expenses. So that includes payroll, inclusive of employee benefits such as healthcare. Also, you could use it for your accounts payable, which still means your current operating expenses. Also, you could use it for rent, your fixed debt obligations to help you make your monthly installment loan payments, and other current bills that you just need to pay to keep things going. But the funds cannot be used to refinance existing debt. That's not the purpose. The purpose of these are to help you pay your bills right now. So, plus it does not cover lost income. That's not the objective. The objective is to give you funds to pay for current expenses. Next, please. So a feature of this EIDL is there's an emergency grant up to $10,000. At the end of the streamlined application, it asks you to check the box, right? So you check the box and you're supposed to get up to $10,000 originally. However, they came back and made some clarification that it's actually based on $1,000 per employee. So what that means, you would have to have up to 10 employees in order to get the full 10,000. But anything less, one or anything less than 10, you'll get up to 1,000 per employee. So just keep that in mind. And then you must be at least have an operation, meaning you already have been in business, licensed business by January 31, 2020. If your application is denied for whatever reason, the applicant does not have to repay the funds of the emergency grant if you receive those funds. So that's just given to you through this program. And then the grant proceeds have to be used for like payroll or any of these obligations that are your current obligations, such as rent, your fixed debt obligations, these kind of things. Next slide, please. So where you go to apply for the, this is a direct loan with the SBA. So you have to go to their site, the COVID-19 relief.sba.gov. And then it's a streamlined process as opposed to when it all started, where you had to turn in documents. This one is just direct, streamlined, and at the end, you're going to give your bank account information. So you have to have the routing number and account number. And then once you submit in, you'll get an application number that you hold on to as a reference point in case you want to follow up with the SBA in terms of the status. And then they give you an 800 number where you can contact them at the end. Next slide, please. The other program is the Paycheck Protection Program. Now, this is the one a lot of people are talking about because this does not go direct SBA. It is a loan you have to go through the bank. But what it is that it's meant to give you the funds to help cover employees, right? To keep your employees on the payroll. So the nice incentive about this, it's a forgivable loan if you keep all the employees on the payroll for 8 weeks after receiving the loan. So that means you cannot terminate any employees. You have to keep everybody on. You have to pay them the same wage. So you can't change anything from what you originally had before. And you have to use at least 75% of the loan proceeds for payroll. And you could use a maximum of 25% for other non-payroll costs, such as rent, utilities. Slide, please. So you could use these proceeds for the payroll costs. And when we talk about payroll costs, what does that mean specifically? Well, there's a cap. You cannot have anyone in there for more than 100,000. And what that means is like actually when you go and apply, you cannot include that as a part of your calculation for the loan amount. So meaning if you paid someone 200,000, you can only include up to 100,000 when you're actually going to include that in your calculation for your overall payroll amount that you're going to use towards that calculation for the loan amount on the application. So other payroll costs, cash tips, vacation, parental leave, sick leave, everything that's included, dismissal, separation. Also, other items that are included are benefits such as health care, retirement contributions. These are strictly company contribution for healthcare and company contribution for retirement benefits, not including the amounts withheld from employees. It's just so we're clear on that. Plus, the last item that's included are state and local tax assessed. But in most cases, we don't have any state income tax, so state taxes to pay, and typically there's no local taxes to pay on the compensation. Next slide, please. Other items for use, as I noted, so in the event that 25% you could use for other things, those other items are interest on the mortgage, rent, and utilities. So that's once again, maximum of only 25% of the loan amount could be used for these things. Plus, only one PPP loan per borrower. So if you have multiple entities, equal licenses, you as an individual can only still do one loan. Next slide, please. So what's excluded in the PPP? So any compensation of employees principal places outside of the U.S., so no foreign, you have to still be a U.S. person or a permanent resident. Compensation, as we mentioned, above 100,000. So make sure you cap at 100, and then federal employment taxes imposed and withheld are not included, like your FICA, Medicare, qualified sick and family leave wages for which a credit is allowed under Section 701. So also that's not included. You just got to make sure you exclude these items when you do your calculation for the loan. Next slide, please. Now to apply, you just go pick up the loan application form. There's a site where you can pick it up. It is a fillable PDF file. First, you're going to have to separately do your calculation, accumulate your payroll costs. For example, you're going to use your 2019 payroll. You'll do that information, get your average payroll, drop it into your application, and then calculate at the 2.5, which represents the 8 weeks worth of payroll. So you're going to need that. And then you're going to need to support that application with documentation. How did you determine that? Well, either you're going to have to use your 941 SS for the each quarter for the whole year of 2019, or your W3 SS, which is your W2 transmittal, right, which will give you the entire payroll for the whole year. Or now if you're a sole proprietor or self-employed, then your 1099 miscellaneous. So it just depends on what you have. Plus you could add in other documentation for support if you like, your SW2s, for example. So, and then some of the banks, they have some other additional requirements you want to make sure, especially if you don't have a relationship with them, they may ask you for additional documentations about your business, your license, your articles of incorporation, or these kind of things if you have never banked with them before. So just be aware that even though you submit that in, the bank could come back with requests for additional documentation. So each lender will require different documents, so you just have to see which one. But if you already have an existing relationship, then they should already know most of your information. So ideally, it's good to go to the bank who knows you well. Next slide, please. So these are the preferred SBA lenders on Guam, and these are the ones that are allowed to take in the applications for the PPP program. So once again, it's best to go to the bank that you already knows you and already has your information, so there's less documentation. We can tell you it looks like a lot has flooded towards Bank of Guam, but once again, just go to the bank that provides, you know, all the direct the relationship that you already have from the past. Next slide, please. So I guess we can take any questions. Or we're going to do the questions later?
We'll do the questions at the end.
Okay,
yeah.
Sounds good.
So we have a question already. So yeah, Benita, just hang on there. So at the end, we can go ahead and answer all questions at once. Yeah. And then Fred, of course, hang on too. But we got a question in from Benita already. So we'll just take the questions right at the end. But thank you so much, Fred. This has been really, really good. I like how organized it is. So we're going to go ahead and you'll see how some of this kind of the information is just going to be really well built upon each other. We're going to go over to Joe Diego, the Area Director for the Western Pacific at the U.S. Department of Agricultural Rural Development. Hey, Joe, how are you? Thanks for coming on.
Hi. Great, thank you. It's my pleasure. Good morning. I hope everybody is doing well during these very challenging and unprecedented times we're living in nowadays. I want to take this opportunity to thank the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce for hosting this town hall meeting. And more importantly, I want to inform the participants that USDA Rural Development is open and has been open for business, although we are working remotely. So that being said, I want to start with some of our programs. Our bread and butter program, we actually provide funding for first-time homeowners, either directly or through a lender, guaranteed loans. So some of the COVID-19 relief efforts we're participating in now for borrowers that have applied directly and funded directly through USDA. We are authorizing a 6-month moratorium without application. So basically, they don't have to worry about paying us for up to 6 months. And if the need be, that can actually be extended up to 2 years. On our guaranteed loan side, where we work with lenders, we offer the same thing to our participating lenders, which is pretty much the same lenders as Fred showed in his slide. And then we probably have 2 other lenders off island that also participate in this program. They also have the authorization by USDA to offer a moratorium for up to 6 months for guaranteed lenders. So typically under this program, we do, under our housing program, we do about 10 to 15 million a year for first-time homeowners. So that's one of our programs that is actively used in the Western Pacific. Also on the housing side, we also put a 60-day moratorium on foreclosing and eviction of any tenants within our properties. So with this program, again, it's geared towards first-time homeowners. So, you know, we're very glad that this program has been available, and we're still continuing to process applications as we speak. On the business program side, similar to SBA, this is a really, I'll start with the COVID side. Effective March 31st to September 20th, our guaranteed business and industry loans processed by lenders, they also have the authority by USDA to offer a 100-day without prior agency approval moratorium for our business borrowers. I'll get into that a little later. Also, with our business and industry guaranteed loan, it's similar to how SBA, it's a non-COVID program. We have this year-round where USDA can actually provide federal government guarantee on loans up to $25 million. The loan can be used for working capital, machinery, equipment, real estate, and in some cases for debt refinancing. But it's a lender-driven program, so you work with your lenders. We have lenders locally. We have lenders off island that work with this program. So it's something to keep in mind if you want to expand your business. On the grant side, because of the COVID-19, we actually extended some of the deadlines. Our Rural Business Development Grant, that program actually has been extended to, till today. So that is for, this is a grant that we use. It's available for public bodies and nonprofits that want to engage in projects that benefit small and emerging business enterprise. So, you know, things like this particular town hall meeting, Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce wants to do more of this, or you know, address other business ventures. This grant can be used to help fund that. So, you know, this is the deadline that we have for what we get every year. Anything above and beyond applications we get after April 15th that have to be funded through national office on a competitive basis. We also have another program called our Renewable Energy for America program. This is where USDA can offer small businesses and ag producers a grant of up to $500,000 for those businesses that want to invest in energy systems. It can be renewable energy or energy efficiency. So that's something that we've extended the deadline for also. But if you have any questions on those, please let me know. Under the energy program, the grant can only cover 25% of the investment costs. We also have a guaranteed loan program under that energy program that can offer up to $25 million in a guaranteed loan. So that's also lender driven. So technically, a business can get both a grant and a guaranteed loan from USDA to invest in energy systems. We also have another program called our Community Facility Program. This is a direct and guaranteed financing program for public bodies and nonprofits that want to invest in hard asset financing projects, whether to build a building, furniture, fixtures, equipment, vehicles, and anything tangible, if you may, that can support the mission of a nonprofit or public body. Projects we've done in the past, we've helped the University of Guam, we've helped GCC construct some of the buildings. We've worked with the local government to fund some of their projects. So this is a great program. The rates are at historical lows right now. I believe on the direct loan side, it's 2.375, and then the guaranteed loan, it's a lender-driven program. So that's something dictated by the lenders. As far as our existing portfolio, luckily for Guam, we haven't had any of our clients request for COVID-19 relief, although we are being very flexible in how we address it on a case-by-case basis. This particular program didn't make the recent CARES Act provision in terms of debt relief, but we feel that the next CARES Act legislation will include some of these provisions to help public bodies and nonprofit organizations. Another program that we're getting a lot of interest in lately, I guess under the circumstances that we're all faced with, is our distance learning and telemedicine program. This is a program that helps rural communities, and that's all of Guam is considered rural for this program, take advantage of telecommunications to connect to the world for telemedicine or distance learning purposes. So the minimum grant is $50,000. The maximum grant is $1 million. And it comes at a very modest 15% match. However, for public bodies that apply for this, the matching request is waived for up to $200,000. So the $1 million maximum grant was extended just this year. And Guam has some unique advantages in applying for this because we have opportunity zones and we have some other enhancements that help applicants from Guam compete on a nationwide basis for this grant program. The application deadline for this particular grant is on July 13th. And again, some of the things that this grant can be used for is for broadband, broadband transmission facilities, audio, video, and interactive video equipment, terminal and data terminal equipment, computer hardware, and inside wiring. We cannot do anything outside of the distance learning or telemedicine facility. It has to be everything within the classroom or the room that this is going to be set up in. And basically, you know, in a nutshell, that's really just a glance at some of the 41 different types of loans, guarantees, and technical assistance programs that we have to offer. And again, I'll be available to answer any questions that you may have. So again, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Joe. That was really awesome. I'm going to follow up with you personally on some of this grant. So yeah, so definitely we do have some questions for you after, so please sit tight. But that's a great overview to the different types of grants and loans that you guys have available. Good information. So now moving on to U.S. Small Business Administration, SBA, Ken Lujan, the Guam branch manager. And Ken, I know you've been extremely busy as well as all of our panelists, so thank you as well for coming on the call today.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you to Holly and Eileen, of course, the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce for allowing me the time to present the audience that you have here today, the latest information on the SBA's disaster program. So thank you for having me here today. I also want to thank Fred Ganil, who's our newly designated PISBDC and network director, for the brief that he provided you, or provided the audience. So I'm not going to really elaborate on the specifics of the program because he has already gone through that. What I do like to share with the audience, though, are a couple things relative to the EIDL program as well as the PPP program. The EIDL program, a lot of people were waiting for the $10,000 grant that was actually indicated there. Safe to say, last night I received several calls from businesses that basically it indicated that they received their monies in the bank, in their it was actually deposited to the bank today or last night. So that's a good sign that the people of Guam, the business community, also with CNMI, are finally going to see these monies trickling into the economy. So that's great news. So that the $10,000 advance funds are actually coming in now. In addition to that, for those who have not had the opportunity to apply for the EIDL, they have until, of course, the end of the year, December 21st, to apply. So make a wise decision. You know, if you need the money, you know, apply. It will take a couple of weeks though to get a response. Keep in mind that this program is actually open to the 50 states as well as the territory. So it's on a first come first served basis. So you know, put your application in. Fred indicated that it's really simple to do. You can do that within 10 minutes and actually get. The one thing I ask a lot of the applicants is to maintain their application number. That's the only reference point in which they can actually ask SBA what's the status of their loan. So they throw away that number and they call me up and say, Ken, what's my number? I'm sorry, I can't help you with it. So please keep your application number in hand. As it relates to the PPP program actually expires in June 30th. So people need to apply now. The funds are going out fast. The first couple of days of the program was instituted, about over $100 billion is already set aside for loans out here. Just to give you an update, as of yesterday, Guam alone, we've made about 156 loans in Guam and CNMI. $28.8 million were already approved just for the PPP program. So these monies are now standing by with the banks for disbursements. So it's just a matter of coordinating your activities with the banks. A couple challenges that we see in the PPP program, challenges to sole proprietors and independent contractors. Our suggestion is to, if you can't qualify in the PPP program, then move over to the EIDL program. That's where you can actually provide information on owner draws or as sole proprietors. The other inquiries that's happening in the PPP is the issue of forgiveness. People have the assumption that their loan's going to be forgiven. I said there are several caveats that they need to adhere to, such as hiring or rehiring people back into the workforce in order for them to get that dollar amount forgiven. So you really need to sit down with their lender and discuss these issues with the lender. You see other things that's happening in the front office here. Oh, the one thing I do want to share with you right now, because of the fact that this is $349 billion have actually gone into this process with the PPP, and we have a couple other millions of dollars going into the EIDL. This is a very ideal time for any scammers or any people who wanted to do fraud, because there's so much money filtering out in the system. So we highly encourage that if they don't get a .gov URL at the end, in other words, if they start, people who are receiving information through the internet from .com organizations, from .org organizations, asking for private information, please refrain, do not do that. If SB is asking for information, and of course that's relative to your loan, then you can go ahead and submit that information. But other companies that have utilized the SBA logo, they've also utilized the word SBA in there just to get scams going through. So you can report fraud. Fraud, you can report it at fraud@gao.gov. That's the government accounting office here. You can report all fraud activities to that website, or you can just contact me, and then I'll send it forward to whoever it needs to be addressed. So again, be mindful of the fact that there's a lot of fraud entries that's taking place right now. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I'm open to any questions.
Thank you so much, Ken. Yeah, that's great information. So definitely watch for that scam. And just to let you guys know, some of you guys are asking questions, so this is going to be shared. It will be shared, but we did not gather your email, so we will be sharing it on our social for a limited time. So please do check us out. And the next town hall we do have, we are going to go through a webinar sign-up sheet so we can get your emails. But you can always reach out to Eileen as well, or us at Guam Women's Chamber, and ask for it specifically. Thank you. But thank you. That is great information to know, just to watch out for fraud. All right, let's go ahead and move to Mary Camacho from Guam Economic Development Authority. She is industry.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Thanks.
Okay. So I'm just going to go over a brief overview of the local economic relief programs provided by our agency. I did provide a slide yesterday. If you could just put that up, it's just one slide.
All right, your slide is up.
Thank you. So in accordance with the Leon Guerrero Tenorio Administration's Team Guam plan, small businesses in need of cash flow assistance.
Huh? So Chance got out? Shit. Log him on.
Oh, sorry. Eileen, can you please mute other speakers besides Mary Camacho? Thank you. Sorry about that. Mary, go ahead.
No problem. Okay, so again, in accordance with the Temporary Economic Assistance and Mitigation Guam Plan, small businesses in need of cash flow assistance due to COVID, they can apply for loans up to $50,000 with deferred initial payments of 90 days through two of GIDA's loan programs. First being the State Small Business Credit Initiative, also known as SSBCI, and the other being the Guam Development Fund Act, known as GDFA. So the SSBCI program is actually a federal program administered by the Department of Treasury, And this supports private financing to small businesses through a loan guarantee program. So the Guam SSBCI program, it's a partnership with 3 financial institutions, the Bank of Guam, Bank Pacific, and Community First. So in this sense, GIDA, we are not the direct lender, but we do provide a guarantee if one of our financial institution partners approves the loan. So they will be the ones to assess, underwrite, and determine if you're eligible to enroll in the SSBCI program. The maximum guarantee loan amount for this program is $50,000. The maximum guarantee term is 7 years, and the interest rate is dependent on the bank underwriting. The use of funds for this program is working capital, inventory, and equipment. The loans are not intended for business expansion or startups. So for this, the eligibility for this program is actually dependent on the financial institution. And we do have contact information for each of our partners, Bank of Guam, Bank Pacific, and Community First. All of the information is available on our website at investguam.com. The second loan program we have is the Guam Development Fund Act, also known as GDFA, and that was actually created back in 1968, but we have changed things up a bit, especially during this time. So it is a direct lending program for businesses that aren't able to obtain financing elsewhere. So in order to be eligible to apply for the program, you have to present a declination letter from a financial institution. The maximum loan amount for this is also $50,000. The maximum loan term is 1 to 7 years, and the interest rate for this loan is based off of the US Treasury index rate plus 1%. And you can see the interest rate at treasury.gov. Also for the use of funds for this program is for working capital, inventory, and equipment. And again, the loans are not intended for business expansion or startups. So these are already for existing businesses that are having hardships due to the COVID-19. Eligibility for this program is you must be a US citizen or a permanent resident alien. You must have 1 declination letter from a financial institution. You must be a registered business and have a valid Guam business license. Your business must be in good standing, meaning you have to have GRTs from the last 12 months. And you also need to include a statement of need, just being what are the negative effects of COVID to your business. And since this is a GIDA program, to apply for this, you can actually visit our website at investguam.com/programs or COVID-19. And under there, you'll see the Team Guam plan. And it has everything that we have, our flyer, the application, the requirement checklist, but it also has contact information for the individuals in our agency that can assist with this. We are following the executive orders. Our office is closed, but our phone lines are open. And so anyone can contact us at 647-4332, and the information will be forwarded to the right person. There is a lot of information, and again, I really encourage everyone to go to our website because a lot of the questions you might have may be answered with an easy click. That's about it.
Thank you so much, Mary. That's really great that you guys have those loan programs available. Great. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on. And we have Guam Department of Labor, and that's Hannah Ariarty, and she is a special project coordinator. Hannah, are you on the call there? Just giving her a second. All right, do we have a representative from Guam Department of Labor on the call today? All right, let's see if she's available to join us. I'll go ahead and move on to the Employers Council, and then if Hannah or someone else from the Guam Department of Labor comes on, we can have them on. All right, so now we have Kate Nightingale, and she is the Executive Director of the Employers Council. Welcome, Kate.
Hi, hello everybody. So the Employers Council, we're a membership organization, and we help companies with employee issues, mainly looking at regulations, just keeping people and companies up to date with whatever the latest regulations are. And with regards to coronavirus, there are several things that have obviously come out. And the key word right now is that it's fluid. So these were all passed within the past couple of weeks. There were laws that were enacted through the federal government, and the process of rolling them out is in process is the best thing to say. And so things are being clarified and updated really day by day. And that's what we try to keep our members up with. The big one that came out was the Family First Coronavirus Relief Act. That's called the FFCRA. And what that did is changed a couple of employment laws to really, the point of a lot of these laws are trying to help businesses keep people on payroll, keep them paid. And with the FFCRA, the first component was an emergency sick leave, paid sick leave that was passed by the government. And what that allows is for 2 weeks of paid leave for employees to handle a variety of issues around coronavirus, mainly if they themselves are sick, if they're caring for someone sick, as well as being confined to home because of a government order, which applies to us directly here on Guam because we do have an emergency order to keep us at home, as well as individuals who find it hard to work because the schools have closed, so their means of childcare. And this law was passed and it's been clarified. The little bit of the tricky bit about this particular law, and again, is trying to keep people on payroll, but with one caveat which affects us here is that if your business doesn't have work, if it's closed, and for us, a lot of businesses are closed because of the government mandate, then this paid leave doesn't actually come into play. What the government had done is say that there's paid leave is available, companies can pay this leave, and then they'll get the money back from the government by submitting a tax credit. So instead of having to pay payroll tax to the government, the companies could just keep this money, and then this would offset the money that they're paying for this paid leave. But again, the little bit of a tricky part is, and which is a lot of companies were struggling with because they want to help their employees have this paid leave, is that it's not eligible, or it's not, it won't be covered by the government if there is in fact no work for the employee to do. So for this to work, there has to be work for the employee to do, but they're not able to do that work because of these various conditions. One, they're stuck home because of the government order, or they're caring for someone with COVID-19 or symptoms, or they're caring for themselves, or their children are at home from school. So that it makes it a little bit hard. Some companies can. So for example, certain restaurants that still are doing business, but some employees can't come in, then they qualify for that and they can claim that tax credit. So that's good for 2 weeks, so 10 days or work that could be covered potentially by the employer, and then the employer recoups the cost through the tax credit. The other component of the FFCRA is the extended family medical leave. And I think most of us are familiar with Family Medical Leave Act, which allows employees to have time off from work without fear of dismissal or any type of other disciplinary action. And it goes throughout the year for up to 12 weeks. So they've just added a little bit onto this particular program. And what they've added is one of the qualifying. So for Family Medical Leave Act, for people to take that leave, there's these different qualifying mechanisms. Usually if you yourself are sick, if you're caring for someone who's sick, but they've added another one on, which is if you're at home caring for children because your childcare is no longer available, either the school has closed or the childcare center has closed. So that now becomes a qualifying event under family medical leave. But the added component is that the government will pay for that particular leave. So if a person is stuck at home, if they have work that they could be doing, so their company is still open, their company still has work for them to do, but they can't do that work either physically or through telecommuting, then they could have this leave, and this leave could be paid by their company, and then the company could recoup through this tax credit. But again, a little caveat there. The only leave that will be paid under this extended FMLA is leave that's caused by a school closure or somebody not having childcare. So there's all these little details, but there are these programs out there that companies are trying to avail of to help their company, their staff stay on payroll. Now, because a lot of companies here on island are in fact closed or simply don't have work for their employees to do, then they can't offer these options as means of keeping them compensated. And so what we're doing, we're referring a lot of our members to what's already been mentioned. One is the PPP, so the payroll protection, and that's the loan through SBA. And again, if 75% is with payroll, then that payroll is, and then that loan then becomes forgivable. So in essence, that money is all basically given to the company. Therefore, the company can help keep their staff on payroll. Another mechanism is through the second phase of the government's assistance. First was the Family First, the FFCRA. The second is the CARES Act. It too has many components in it. And one is a refund of up to 50% of payroll taxes. So that too can be availed of for a company trying to figure out ways to keep their people employed and on payroll. But then even with those, there's still, it's really hard for a lot of companies here on island to keep their employees paid. And so what's now come up, thank goodness, Guam got included in it, and that was clarified this past weekend, is that under the CARES Act, there are unemployment funding. Guam doesn't have an unemployment insurance. There was a big question, would Guam be covered? Could we participate? But thank goodness, yes, we can. And so for companies that either can't support their employees through the FFCRA paid leave or through the CARES refundable, then the next step would be referring them to this unemployment payments that will be made available. And that consists of a payment of $360 per week for up to 39 weeks. In addition, that's the PUA, and then there's the FPUC. So there's one is the public unemployment assistance, and then the federal public unemployment compensation, which is coming as part of the CARES, and that's an additional $600, up to $600 that could be paid. So, and if everything works for an individual potentially could be making up to over $900 per week. There's different weeks allotted for this. Now for that, we've been advising our employer members how they can help their employees with that. First of all, is DOL has required that all companies on island that are experiencing either layoff or furloughs or reduced hours or whatever to register with the Department of Labor. Previously, it was to email their rapid response email address. Just today, or end of yesterday, they announced they now have their website on Hire Guam up and running, where they'd like employers to register on that website, Hire Guam. And so we've sent that out. So they need employers to register on that because they're doing like a dual verification about employees who come in for unemployment. One, has the employers registered on that. Then the second thing that employers can do to help their employees is to give them some form of certification showing that indeed their hours have been reduced or they're on a furlough of some sort. And when that started, because these payments, there is, if I'm mistaken, still it's being clarified, but some backdated, but it goes, they're looking at anybody starting as of March 22nd. So you would give a letter employee and exactly what has been the impact. They would then use that as part of the application process. Unfortunately, the application process hasn't quite started yet. Guam was really starting from a base zero. They didn't have anything to run this program. They literally had to buy the software because we don't have an employment insurance, but they're getting that all in place and they're hoping within the next week or so to get those applications up and running. But those are the big areas in terms of with employers and helping employers, because everybody wants to help their employees. And plus we all recognize this is temporary. I mean, this will end. And so losing your employees now, keep those employees with you and compensated somehow.
Okay, thank you so much, Kate. That's very knowledgeable. And you're right. We do want to, everyone wants to keep their employees and we need these ways and means to do that. And thank you for providing some of that information for the ways and means. Yes, thank you so much. And please hold on the call. So we do have Hannah also from Guam Department of Labor. So that's a great segue, Kate. So we can go right into Department of Labor. Hannah Iriarte, the Special Projects Coordinator. Are you on now?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Yep. Hi.
Can't see me. doesn't seem like I can start my video, but that's okay.
There should be a little video in your lower left-hand corner, but a little button.
But it won't start. Am I blocked?
I don't know. You shouldn't be at all, is what I'm saying, but yeah, but it's okay.
That's okay. Well, I'm so sorry, you guys, that I missed the majority of the Zoom conference. Department of Labor, there's so much work going on right now. So I got caught up working on an FAQ for that's going to be distributed to the meeting organizations so that people can start to understand what the former person was talking about. I think that's Kate. Yeah, the FPUC and the PUA. But anyway, so since I missed most of what happened, do you guys want to ask me some questions?
Sure, we can. In I know Department of Labor, you guys will be sharing your information. Thank you for putting together an FAQ that we can also share with the members. So yeah, let's go ahead and we can open our Q&A for any specific questions that you guys have for Hannah, since she's right here on the line for Department of Labor. I don't have anything specific in the comments here, but some of you might be on the call. You can unmute yourself if you have a specific question, or you can put it in the box. Let me see.
I have a quick question. Sure, this is Kate. So with that, just in terms of the latest, is there a central place for individuals to go for the unemployment? Will it be through DOL or DPHSS or Hire Guam?
It will be implemented by the Department of Labor. We're trying to keep the social distancing mandates and the quarantine mandates in place by trying to create a virtual system. It will be connected to hireguam.com, but we're in the process of purchasing the programming and creating the programming and then training our employees to run the program. But we also realize that that might take longer than just handing out paper applications. And of course, there are people that don't have access to computers or or internet. So we're coming up with ways to disperse paper applications. We're thinking of putting them in places that are essential that people will need to go to anyway, such as the gas station or the grocery store, because we don't want people making special trips just to find the application. And then we're also going to set up drop boxes. All of that still is being worked out. We're talking to businesses and whatnot to set that stuff up. But so we're going to have an online process and a paper process.
Okay, great. That's wonderful. And this is all, I know, Hannah, this is all getting rolled out, like Kate was saying, like over the weekend. And I know, thank you for joining the call. I know you guys are busy. So have you guys seen any, just the FAQ even that you worked on, just, kind of typical questions or common questions that are coming across the board that might be useful for our members?
Yeah, I actually was also one of the ones answering the 311 calls for the first 2 weeks. So yeah, I got the gamut. Most people just said, how do I qualify? How do I apply? And when am I going to get my check?
We're kind of answering, you're answering the how. You guys are working that out right now. Yeah. What about the when? Do you guys have any forecast on the when?
Well, we did send a draft application to U.S. Department of Labor, and they have to approve that before we can roll out our application process. What else? People kept asking about the amount. I'm on welfare. Do I qualify? I'm retired. Do I qualify? And so there's a lot of what ifs and a lot of information. So it's a task to go through it all. But in my FAQ, I'll make sure that people understand. I hopefully understand whether they qualify, how much they'll get, and how to apply. The amount, as Kate was saying, yes, the FPUC is $600. That'll be for the first 13 weeks. On top of that, for 39 weeks will be the PUA. That amount, actually, I just got confirmation of that amount. However, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it yet. But it is the amount that people are assuming it is. It's the amount that people are talking about. I'll just say that. And so that will come for 39 weeks. So yeah, for the first 13 weeks, you'll get about $950. And then the following weeks, you'll just get the 300 and whatever it is.
Okay, and this is just if you're still not employed, or is it like you might have gotten your job back, but the hours are still reduced? Will that be, will there be some kind of like formula on that, or is it just flat rate?
Say people got their job back, or they're still working, but their hours are reduced, and maybe they're making about $150, $200 a week. They'll get the difference of the POA check.
Okay. All right. And that's for both of these, the 600 or the potential 350?
I'm not sure about the 600.
Okay.
But I do know that it for the POA.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. And then they just have to provide that, obviously, that information. And yeah, sorry.
A lot of people are, a lot of our callers are really concerned about getting the employment letter because they can't reach their employer, or their business shut down. Has anyone talked about that one yet?
No, I don't believe we talked. We talked about, yeah, the getting a specific letter, having, for the employers to actually provide a letter to their employees from when they were actually furloughed. So getting that sort of letter, is that what you mean? Getting that type of documentation?
Yeah. But we don't want people to worry that they won't be able to get the assistance that they need because they don't have this letter or they don't have a check stub. At the very least, we're asking, even if the employee themselves can write a letter saying, this is where I worked, this is the date I was furloughed or my hours were reduced, this is my employer, here's my employer contact information, and get that to us. And they will eventually be audited. So it will be considered fraud, federal fraud, if they lie. But my director is willing to take that kind of letter to help people get the money that they need to, maintain their livelihoods. So that's something we want people to understand. And if you don't have your Social Security card, it's okay. Just know your Social Security number. If you don't have a passport, that's okay. Just have your ID. Like, you have to have some form of ID to prove who you are. And yeah, so we're being accepting because we understand that during this pandemic, it's difficult to collect all of these things if you don't have them already.
Right. And just one question I have before we get into the questions on the sideboard here are, if your employer, say they qualify for the PPP and they're paying, or maybe they have the EIDL and they're paying their employees through that, but then the employee themselves actually goes and they get, they claim unemployment. So would that be on the responsibility of the employer to be like, hey, I was paying them still? You know what I mean? Like, is it the responsibility of the employer then?
The PPP is, it mandates that people be kept on payroll for, I believe, about 8 weeks. So if they're on that payroll and they're making less than the 300 something, then they should be able to get the difference from that. They should be able to get the one-time stimulus payment of the $1,200. And then, of course, if they have the children 16 and under, I'm not sure about the $600 a week. So that one I have to clarify. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and read actually the questions backwards because I think this one's directed towards you. From Vanessa Williams, are employees whose hours were reduced as opposed to being laid off or furloughed eligible for unemployment assistance, and which?
Yes, they are.
Everybody too. Go ahead.
Yes, they are. But again, if they still make more than the weekly amount that the local government puts out, then they won't get anything. But if they make less, then yeah, they'll get the difference.
Okay, all right. So that they would be, for the panelists, the unemployment would be the best in that position, or would there be any other funding that employers could tap into for laid off, furloughed, etc.
Employers,
Mhm.
all of the stuff that the SBA is doing is what they should be looking into. That
Okay.
those programs that they've been rolling out seem to be very helpful, and I hope that it does help some of the small businesses here stay alive.
Right, right. Okay, thank you. Thanks. Okay, so I'm going to open up these questions to all panelists. So please, panelists, feel free to jump in to answer any of these questions. John asks, under the CARES Act, are salaried employees who received pay cut eligible to apply for unemployment benefits?
Yes, if the amount is less than, if your weekly amount is less than the PUA amount.
Okay. Okay. And now let's go ahead and scroll up. And also, you guys, please check out the chat. You can click on the bottom, open up the sidebar. There are some downloadables that you can download directly from this, this discussion today. When we close out the call, the chat will not be available anymore. So if you want, you can click and you can actually save the entire chat, or you can save those specific documents. Okay, so from Rachel, for Joe, can we get a link for the grant program and other programs you were discussing?
Yes, our website that has a lot of information can be found at, pulling that up for you, of course, www.rd for rural development, rd.usda.gov. I'll repeat it again, www.rd.usda.gov.
Awesome. Thank you. I just went ahead and put that in the chat group as well. Yeah, those are great programs. Thank you. From Benita, so this question's for Joe again. If you have an existing SBA home loan from previous disasters, do you have to apply for the forbearance? And does the interest continue to accrue during the deferment period?
So if the home was originally, make sure I'm not on mute. So if the
You're
home
good.
was originally financed through USDA, all they have to do is give us a call and let us know they want to take advantage of the 6-month forbearance. But if it's SBA disaster loan tied to that, that's more an SBA question. All I can tell them is on the USDA side, all the COVID relief provisions would apply in terms of no foreclosures for 60 days and no payments for up to 6 months and up to 2 years if needed.
Okay, wow. Does SBA have anything to contribute to that question?
Yes, basically borrowers who had prior SBA loans, they were given notification that we were going to go ahead and defer 6 months of payments automatically. So they should.
Okay, sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So they should recognize within their monthly statement that their next due date has actually been advanced.
Okay, so the next one is 6 months out. And then was that from March 22nd?
Right around the March timeframe, yes.
Okay, and then are they accruing interest though during this time, or is all interest also not happening right now? Deferred.
Well, I guess for the disaster loans, the interest would be accumulating. With the guarantee loans, would be interest and principal would be deferred in that case.
Okay, all right, thank you, thanks.
Right.
And then we have under PPP, are employers required to maintain the current wages, salaries of their employees? So that might be a Ken or question.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and chime in. They're not required to have it. It's a business decision they need to make. If they want to retain, let's just say again, they have 10 employees, they reduce it down to 5 employees. If they want to retain the 5, then obviously you can apply for that 5 payroll. But if you have to go back and we have to look back and say, okay, well, initially you had 10 employees to begin with, and you apply for the payroll amount for those 10 employees, then basically 50% of that is probably going to be forgiven. The other 50% is not, because you elected to maintain the 5 employees rather than rehiring the additional 5 when you initially had that. So there's a certain formula that's identified, and if they follow that formula, then they can understand where we are in terms of forgiving the debt.
Okay. What about not the number of employees, but they're asking here specifically the current wages or salaries of the employees. So they may retain the same number of employees, but reduce the wages.
Well, again, if they identify prior to February 15th that there's, let's just say that out of the 10 employees, it'd be a $10,000 monthly payroll salary cost. And so assuming that they from full-time to part-time, going to reduce on your salaries, then again, that portion that they asked for prior to the February 15th is going to be reduced as a result of you reducing down your payroll portions as well.
Okay, so basically what they'll get is what they actually put forward.
Correct.
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, and then another question from Benita. Why do banks have differing requirements for the PPP? Isn't it supposed to be a simplified process? Some are requesting information as if for an EIDL loan.
The reason why is because they're different industries, different needs, different wants, desires, different business decision making. So the lender has to treat each application somewhat differently than the other because of the fact that with a sole proprietorship, there's not that much documentation you have to submit to begin with because there's only one individual. Whereas you have a large company that has over 100 employees, you know, imagine the payroll records and the documentation that the lender just to prove that they actually had those number of employees, you know, prior to the occurrence of the COVID-19. So it's the burden is placed upon the actual business owner to justify that they had these employees at that time, that particular time period, and the fact that they are now going to rehire them or keep them maintained under their payroll. So each bank would have their particular nuances that they require from each applicant as well.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, and I don't see any more questions in the chat box. Does anyone have another question that they want to ask that they have not put forward in the chat box yet? You can go ahead and unmute yourself if you have a specific question. Okay, I think those are all the questions that we have today. I would just want to once again thank our panelists from SBDC, from U.S. Department of Agricultural Rural Development, from U.S. SBA, from GIDA, from Guam DOL, and from the Employees Council. Thank you so much for coming on the call today. This has been really amazing. I know I've learned a lot, and I'm sure that it'll just be, just more and more questions as this rolls out because everything is dynamic and it's evolving at this point in time. So we just really thank you for your time, for coming on, for the panelists, and for our members too, just to be on the call so you can get your answers, get answers to your questions that you have. So once again, thank you so much. And we probably will be reaching out to you all, the panelists too, just to keep updated. And if you have any specific resources also that you would like to share with our members, please do send them on to us. And for those of you who are on the call, we will be reaching out to you. But once again, if you want to connect, please do go to guamwomenschamber.com and we can go ahead and get some more resources to you. Or if you want the specific the PowerPoints from today. As I mentioned, Eileen did share them in the chat box. So if you want to go ahead and download those specific PowerPoints, please do. And I'm sure we're going to have more information also rolling out from DOL. Yeah. So thank you once again for coming on the call, and we will see you at our next topical virtual town hall. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.